Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GS Daddy-O stream. We are doing another lunch special today, and I have a special guest with me at SirImperialMike. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
No problem, man. So just to let you guys all know, we in the Discord, in my personal Discord, have a special section set up there to where individuals can feel free to submit a VOD. So what it is it's pretty much gameplay of a game that they did or are in the middle of, and looking for some assistance in terms of their gameplay and some help, and try to give some feedback on some good things that they're doing, some other things that they can improve upon. And what I'm trying to do is just leave this up to like kind of more of a casual lunch stream. We're going to try and tackle these like once a week, time permitting, depending on how my work schedule is going. Mike has been very flexible in trying to find a proper time for him to link up with me and do this. So what we're going to be doing today is this is a Journeyman level game. And in fact, we reviewed this same individual's gameplay about, I think it was around 2 weeks ago. If I have that right, Mike? I think it was 2 weeks ago.
I don't know. That was it. I think that was with Sheldon.
Yes, that was with Sheldon. It was 2 weeks ago. So what he had asked is for us to check out his gameplay out of the going through the glittering mines. And then now, this is actually the same game heading out of the glittering mines. And what we're going to be looking at is the important like 15 round town refresh that occurs in between the glittering mines and traveling through the Golden Plains, the Rogue Isles, and it's either the Poison Bog or the Burning Forest. I actually don't know what's on this one. So it's one of those two. And if I remember correctly, Mike, so correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think he's running Scholar, and he's got the lightning, it's the lightning staff, I believe, or the lightning rod. And then he's got Busker as a strength hero, and he's running it's the skull mace. Or what is that mace actually called?
I'm not 100% sure.
But
it's a breakable mace.
Yeah. Yes, it's a breakable 12 damage mace. And then he is running on his talent hero. I believe he ended up switching. I think I'm going to have to... Oh, it looks like the Barbat right here. Because, yeah, so that's what he's got equipped right now is the Barbat.
Yep.
Okay, so what he's doing right now, as you can tell right from the beginning, is he's made it to Perid. So he must have just taken a couple turns to get to Perid. So we don't know how many rounds he's done at this point to get to Perid. I'm just assuming that maybe it was 1 to 2 rounds. Hopefully it didn't take him 2 to 3 rounds to do this. So what we're going to be doing is talking about kind of his pathing at this point and what he should be trying to accomplish. So as you can tell here, he's got the Mine Lord still to get to the Lich's Crypt, so this is right after Glittering Mines. Now, why don't I just kind of ask you a question to start here, Mike?
Sure.
So right here, let's talk about just like weaponry, since he's got this opened up. What are you probably looking to upgrade at this point, right when you get out of the Glittering Mines?
I am typically looking at first of all, what weapons is the game giving me? Are there any good ones to pick from? And sometimes, the choices don't give you a lot to pick from. Like, the War Pick is not a significant improvement over the what he has now. So there's no real good strength weapon upgrade here. Even Hook Sword's not really much of an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
There's no talent or awareness weapons here to go to. He's got, composite bows, not much of an improvement over the Barbat. Scholar Stick and Frost Staff are definitely an improvement over whatever 9 damage intelligence weapon he has. And Scholar Stick actually is probably the best of the two.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we went back and ever looked at our intelligence video where we went over the weapons there, I think Scholar Stick is rated higher. So yeah, and it's also cheaper. So I would probably have him pick up the Scholar Stick if it was me here, and maybe even some of the Godsbeard.
Sure, I would definitely agree there. I would definitely go with the Scholar Stick as well too. It is nice too that it is actually 6 cheaper than the Frost Staff and some Godsbeards. He does have 146 gold. Talking about the gold and where he's at right now. So, we were talking a little bit offline about what accomplishments do you want to have within this 15-day, this 15-round part when you're getting out of the Glittering Mines. Oh, let's stop actually here for a second. So let's talk about what you're trying to accomplish when you get out of the Glittering Mines. So just so you guys are aware, you have 15 rounds before the town's refresh. When you start off, you can reduce chaos by doing the chaos camps. Now, there's going to be 5 in total that you can unlock between 2 in the Golden Plains, 1 in the Rogue Isles, and then 2 in either the Poison Bog or the Burning Forest. It actually looks like up north it's the Burning Forest, so I'll just call it the Burning Forest. If you unlock those chaos camps before the 15-round refresh, they'll be level 4 camps and not level 6 camps. So it's not necessarily that they're easy at level 4, but it's way more difficult at level 6. So you want to try and unlock as many of those as possible, right?
Oh yeah, that's one of the most important things to accomplish in that 15 rounds that you have.
And then you also have either catacombs or dark caves, depending on which area you're at. But even if you unlock those, you actually have to physically fight them before the refresh occurs. Because if the refresh happens while they're up, they will go from level 3 to level 5, right?
Yes, they will.
Okay, so what you're trying to do is path as quickly as possible to unlock chaos camps, so 5 in total, and catacombs and dark caves, which is 3 in total because there's 1 per biome.
Yeah.
I personally feel like I did a pretty good job if I can do 4 chaos camps and 2 dark caves and catacombs. But if you're able to do 5 and 3, I consider that like a full victory. Would you kind of agree with that? And what else would you try to accomplish during this time?
Well, let me just qualify that when we say, complete the chaos camps, what we really mean there is just activate them. Just get them spawned. You don't have to kill them. You just need to spawn them. So, yeah, ideally, I try to get at least 2 out of the 3 mini dungeons.
Okay.
If I can't get the 3rd one, oh well. But at least 2. And then out of the 5 towns that you have, at least 3 of the 5 towns.
Okay, so you go to 3, okay.
Yeah. If you can get more than that, that's really good.
Okay. Now, I did pause it here for a reason. There's always going to be some caveats. So here, I'm showing the Boots of Might. What would you do with that?
Oh, I would definitely take that. You're on a journeyman level game, so the amount of chaos comes much less often than on master.
That's a good point.
So he should have no issue keeping control of his chaos. So yeah, I would definitely take that Boots of Might.
Okay, so there's going to be some differentials, and that's probably something that I'm glad you actually brought that up. That to caveat that is, you could probably be a little bit looser with some of the chaos. Actually, let me backpedal for a minute, because maybe when you're playing in Journeyman, chaos isn't as difficult to deal with and as much as a factor. So would you think that you'd be more apt to want to do the catacombs and the dark caves and try to find those as much as possible? Or do you still think doing the reduced chaos camps and unlocking those as fast as possible is just as important? Like, what mindset does your mindset change at all if you're in Journeyman compared to Masters?
It actually doesn't.
It doesn't.
You
Okay.
you still need to activate them as soon as possible, because if you don't, they're going to spawn at level 6, and your characters will probably be level 3. You cannot handle a level 6 chaos camp, so you'd be struggling to find any battles that you could do to improve your team if you don't spawn them early at level 4.
Okay.
And the catacombs, or dark cave at level 3 as opposed to level 5. Because otherwise, then you're like, I don't know where to go. Everything's out leveled me. Where am I going to get my experience? And what am I going to attack?
Sure. Now that he unlocks that, he doesn't necessarily need to rush down there and go get the boots right away. You can just activate it and then move on.
In fact, knowing that it's so important to try to spawn things early, his character, player 3, which is the one that's in Perid, has 2 dancing nettles on him, so he potentially could literally just walk up to Fire Elm and spawn the chaos camp from Fire Elm, as well as check out whether there are better weapons there than what he's seeing here in Perid. Scholar Stick is still a good choice. I would still probably go ahead and purchase the Scholar Stick as an upgrade.
I would agree.
The consequence, though, of doing that is he's going to have to eventually get those 2 characters together. His Scholar, who needs that stick, and player 3, who is the Trapper. Also...
Oh, nice purchases. Okay.
Same thing is true for getting the Boots of Might. Player 3 has the sealed letter or whatever it is. So... And I guess it spawned it down below at that port. So he's gonna have to get them back together again in order for him to pass the weapon as well as to get the Boots of Might.
Now I'm trying to see
that may dictate his choices, right?
So the one thing that's hard I want to wait until we can find out where the Rogue Isles are, because right now he has the Burning Forest up to the north of him. What is kind of interesting is I would have done something a little different here. I would have actually ran player 3 into Fire Elm.
Yeah.
And I would have unlocked that chaos camp.
He had a difficult choice to make there. He has the Scholar Stick, which he wants to get into the hands of the Scholar, as well as the letter, which he needs to get the Boots of Might. To run up would mean to not do that right away. So he probably was in the mindset that I need to get them back together so I can give them the things, but that's going to, reduce the amount of time he has to get up there before the 15 rounds is over and trigger those side quests from Fire Elm. So, sometimes you gotta make tough choices.
Yeah.
Do I delay? Do I not delay? He got a pipesmith as he came down here and bought as many Godspirit as he could from it. I totally would have done the same thing if I got a pipesmith and it just pops up in front of me. Hell, I'll take that cheap Godspirit every time.
Sure. But here's the other thing is spreading out his group. So he decided to go down. Again, I would have popped into the Fire Elm and gotten myself made sure I got back into the Golden Plains.
Yeah, well, like I said, he's probably trying to connect them together so he can pass the Scholar Stick to the Scholar and pass the letter so that the Busker could get his Boots of Might. That was probably his mindset.
That is your mindset, but yeah, that's probably the mindset, but it's not. I don't think it's the correct mindset. I would have just tried to find the catacombs and dealt with the first fight without the Scholar Stick. And when
Yes, since player 3 had 2 Dancing Nettle, he could have run up to Fire Elm, triggered that side quest, and then run back down into the Golden Plains to continue the search.
Yes.
It would have delayed the Scholar getting his Scholar Stick, but that's okay. You're going to pull them all back together again when one of them finds the catacombs anyway.
Yes.
So you deal with one battle and then you pass the materials to each other.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah. Maybe you can even sometimes get super lucky and it ends up not being a battle. The first one, that doesn't happen that often, but sometimes you can get lucky and then you're still able to pass everything off without ever having a fight.
Yeah, you also want to keep in mind that you're going to want 90 gold to get a boat.
That's
so at some point you got to keep that in mind, that since you're going to be going to that port down below where the Boots of Might are, that's a place you could potentially drop a boat if you wanted to, as long as you had enough money for it. Right now he needs another $30 to have enough money to get a boat, so it's just something to keep in mind. Okay, so let's see, he's passing the scholar stick to his scholar. Okay, good. And player 2 is continuing to move. Probably player 2 is the one that wants to get the Boots of Might.
So it was nice to find the Forgotten Cellar there. You hope to get the Forgotten Cellar actually in the Rogue Isles. It's probably your best. The best setup is usually what? Mine Lord in the plains, potentially the Lich's Crypt actually in the burning forest, so you can pull everyone into it. And then
way better.
Yeah. But I mean there's nothing you can. That's called RNG.
Okay, so he made it to Caselli's Watch, triggered the side quest, level 4 camp, perfect.
So now he doesn't have to attack that camp. That doesn't increase when that's the big difference between the catacombs / caves and the chaos camps. Chaos camps,
you save that camp for later. You don't immediately go and kill it. You got 20 rounds before it expires. That's long past when the town refresh occurs.
Yes, that's the only thing you worry about is the expiration, not refreshes. So once it's unlocked, it stays.
Well, okay. He just bought a pipe upgrade, so he spent all the money he had on a pipe upgrade there.
Yeah,
that's gonna dictate then that he's not gonna get a boat right away. He's gonna absolutely have to find the catacombs to get a boat. Now that he's spent all his money.
Well, that was kind of interesting.
Okay,
you didn't have to.
Okay, so is this player 1?
Oh, he doesn't have. He didn't. Okay, so I
thought it was player 2 that was supposed to get the boots. Okay, well, that's
a mistake.
That's a big mistake.
Yeah, because
that's gonna cost you a couple of rounds of time, and the 15 rounds is a very limited resource, and you're wasting probably at least 2 rounds here, because player 2 was already at Caselli's Watch. Now they had to run down here, and then you have to go back the other way to continue your search for the catacombs. So that was a huge mistake to not have the right person.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, of course you want to have the best equipment on your guys as possible, but you don't really need this in order to unlock chaos camps and fight a level 3 catacombs. You don't have to have Boots of Might. You just want to unlock it. In fact,
well, what? There was an alluring pool right next to it. You literally could have gotten a boat, sailed to the islands, found the alluring pool in the islands, and used that to run over here and grab your boots and run back.
That's exactly right. So, like, that's what's kind of interesting about some of this. It's like this is the small stuff.
Wait, go back.
Oh, you want me to go back on something? Hold on a second.
Can you back up the video slightly there? Another mistake I just noticed. He ended the character's turn right there. Stop. He's ending player 2's turn next to Caselli's Watch when he had a focus that he could have used to move into Caselli's Watch and heal with.
So, great point.
He's completely wasting an entire player round right there by not using that focus for movement.
Yes.
And getting into the town and healing. He would have been ready to go had anyone found the catacombs to be able to just enter it right off the bat. Now he has to wait for that character to waste his entire round to heal. He's literally going to move one space into Caselli's Watch and heal, wasting that character's entire round.
That's a really good point. And so the stuff that we're talking about a lot right now has to do with your pathing becomes so huge at this point in the game.
Okay, pause again. So
Go ahead.
Player one found the catacombs.
Yes.
And he's 2 hexes from it.
Yeah.
If player 2 had not wasted his round, player 2 would have already been fully healed. He could have spent 2 focus with player 1 and immediately entered the catacombs the round before.
Mm-hmm.
If player 2 had not wasted his round.
Yes.
So by player 2 having wasted his round, you've now lost an entire team's round.
Mm-hmm.
Not just one player's round. You've now lost the entire team's round because that guy wasn't ready. And
so, especially if you're playing this kind of stuff on Masters, right, this really starts to compound problems. But even on, so on Journeyman, the 15 rounds is 15 rounds. It's 15 rounds on Apprentice. So, like, this applies for no matter what level you're playing on. So trying to speed through these first 15 rounds is such a big point, because then you can relax after the 15 rounds, because nothing really changes until you finish all the 3 quests. So everything just stays the same, except for the difference between Masters, Journeyman, and Apprentice is how fast the chaos comes up. So,
well, you know, the 15 rounds is the same whether you're on Journeyman or on Master. The, you know, jumping from level 4 chaos camps to level 6 chaos camps is the same whether you're on Master or you're on Journeyman. Those same issues occur. It doesn't matter, you know, how often the chaos comes. In fact, the chaos frequency literally doesn't matter there. Mm-hmm. Most people have problems with For the King because of it outscaling you.
Yep.
In that 15 rounds. And it happens on Apprentice, it happens on Journeyman, it happens on Master. You must be efficient in that 15 rounds after the Glittering Mines. You've got to trigger as many of those side quests as you can so they're level 4 instead of level 6. And you have to find those mini dungeons so that they're level 3 instead of level 5. And it doesn't matter whether you're a Journeyman or not, you've got to do it. It's huge. Otherwise, everything is outscaling and you're going to have a hard time.
Sure. There was just a slight mistake I saw there. I would have liked to have seen him to kill that bone bard there first before killing the other guy, because his attack was coming up first, and he probably could have done it with the Busker and then finished off the other guy. But, you know, that works out okay.
So yeah, you always want to try to make sure you guarantee a kill.
Now, the nice thing is the rat burglar missed on his steals, so I would sometimes focus him to start, but you don't need to do that. Even though the rat burglar can hit pretty hard, though, and since you have 2...
Well, you know, interesting, before he even got into this particular room, he should have transferred all the money over to player 3, who is immune to being stolen from.
Oh, that's a great point.
You know, in fact, he has 3 tinder pouches. Sheldon likes to say he likes to put all his tinder pouches on one guy in case you ever run into a mimic, so that you would only ever have the potential of losing 1 tinder pouch from a mimic and not more than 1.
So there seems to be a lot of indecision about who he wants to attack here and who's coming up next. I think the one thing he's kind of running into a little bit is the resistance of the other 2, because he's got 2 magic dealers. This is where I think rush becomes kind of important, and why I would actually probably switch player 3 to a rush weapon, because you can either rush...
Well, that's interesting. When he was looking at player 3's inventory earlier, he actually has a decent loot.
So let's...
at this stage, since the other 2 characters do more damage, and since the decent loot has a piercing attack with rush, he probably should switch to the decent loot and stop using the barbet at this point. The speed down isn't as useful as the rush from the decent loot.
That's exactly right. So if you look here, his he does 19 damage of magic and 21 damage of physical. His 12 is not really going to do a ton anyways. So if you rush, if you're playing against high magic, or I should say high resistance, magic resistance, you can then just rush player 2. If you go up against high armor, so physical damage, just rush player 1. And what you could do is you can consistently get what you need to actually kill guys faster. Your player 3 guy's not doing a lot of damage.
Pause for a moment. Okay, you are in the catacombs right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come out of catacombs, I would say the first thing you need to do is get on a boat and get to the islands as fast as you can. So you have to make sure that you come out of this catacombs with 90 gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it looks like he's going to buy a ukulele here, which, don't get me wrong, ukulele is a good upgrade weapon, but that's going to take almost all your gold from this team. You're going to have like 26 gold or 27 gold remaining. You may not have enough gold coming out of the catacombs to get the boat that you need. So I kind of question you're getting the ukulele at this point, because it looks like he's about to buy it.
This is what's so hard with coming up and doing content creation and doing like a tier listing of weapons. So on the surface, people would sit there and say, you guys say the ukulele is better in this case because it does more damage and it's better than like the barbette that I have right now. But all of it is always in context because there's so many other factors at play. Because first off, how much are you going to be using the ukulele for focus restore at this point in the game? Probably not much. And you don't even know if you're going to use it for end game type of gameplay. The one thing you do have is you already have a rush weapon. So you already have what you need to be able to fight what you need to fight. And spending 83 gold here is probably not the best move because exactly like you said, you're going to want the boat because now what you're going to have is a bunch of other towns that you haven't gotten to and unlock the other chaos camps that are going to be, you're now probably going to have 3 chaos camps. Judging by how this is going right now, he's probably going to have 3 chaos camps that are going to be at level 6, and he's not going to get to the other cave and the other catacombs.
There's a couple other things about that too. You're purchasing from a goblin shop. It is the most expensive place to purchase from anywhere.
Yes.
So on top of that, once the 15-round town refresh occurs, you're going to have better weapons available in all town markets. I would rather not purchase this tier 2 weapon, save my money, and wait for the town refresh and buy a tier 3 weapon, which will probably be way better than that expensive ukulele at that moment in time. Okay, so pause it again.
Yes.
Okay, so he comes out he's coming out right next to a port where he could have put a boat down, but he doesn't have enough money for a boat.
That's okay. So I'm already going to make a prediction here. He's only going to unlock, and here's the crazy thing is because he got the Boots of Might, and it's good to get the Boots of Might, so don't get me wrong. He's only going to pretty much unlock 1 chaos camp, maybe 2 if he's lucky, before this town refresh occurs. That's going to be my prediction, and I don't think he's going to get a cave unlock or a catacombs unlock. I think he's only going to get the 3 things in the Golden Plains. That's my prediction. And that's it. So I'm saying this not, again, we're trying to help and give people feedback, but that would be a failure in my mind if I'm trying to play this game after Glittering Mines. Like, that isn't good enough, especially if you're playing on Masters, because that is going to kill you. Playing 3 chaos camps at level 6 you're going to be struggling because you probably don't have the greatest weapons because you don't have enough gold because you weren't also able to get into the caves and the catacombs in the other biomes. And so you're really going to struggle here.
Pause it. He just got lucky. He's got 90 gold now. There was an enemy that was in his way. This bandit that he happened to accidentally run into, it seems like, gave him the gold he needs for the boat.
Okay.
He's got 90 right now. He should literally stop what he's doing because he looks like he's trying to go to that statue. He needs to turn around right now and go get that boat and drop it in the water. And he got stopped by a sea hag. So the game's giving him plenty of chances to stop what he's doing, turn around, and go back and drop that boat in the water.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's fixated on going to a statue, which is not important.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, it's like so,
Even if he steps back 1 hex and passes the money to player 3 so that player 3 could drop the boat, that would have worked. But he took 34 gold the wrong direction. And now what's he gonna do? He's going even further into the interior of the landmass. Oh God.
well,
Yeah.
but that's the thing is now what would be interesting, and unfortunately, I mean, we could. Like, this is where, like, in the future about doing these VOD reviews, I should maybe probably ask the person to come on to, like, answer some questions that, like, in terms of what they were trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah,
maybe they're trying to get to Fire Elm now. But then again, that goes back to, I would have already unlocked Fire Elm. We would have already unlocked the other 2. We'd already be on the boat and probably get to the Rogue Islands. That means I would have hit 4 and likely have found the caves in the Rogue Islands easily on this one. But now...
Yeah.
It's likely only going to get...
Player 3 had 2 Dancing Nettle. Yep. Could have gotten to Fire Elm really, really early. He even has 2 vision scrolls. So, I mean, take advantage of your vision scrolls. If you feel like you're not going to uncover the catacombs or the dark caves with the time you have available, try to use those vision scrolls to uncover them. Anything you can uncover before that town refresh occurs is going to help you out.
Shoot, if you don't have a boat, let's say you don't have the money for the boat, you could use a portal scroll and get your entire team into the burning forest to start navigating that. That's not the best approach. We like to use boats on the outskirts of it, and that's not the best. But look, at least you're giving yourself an attempt to go into the burning forest, right? But here's another thing I'm noticing too. Too much fighting in the Golden Plains.
Yeah.
Too many random fights.
Sometimes that's, when you have nowhere to go, you're just taking what opportunities you have available to you. But everything in the in the Golden Plains are not good fights to take most of the time.
Yeah.
Especially anything that flies. I really don't recommend fighting things that fly. Bats, birds, anything. They're not going to drop a whole lot of gold, and they're fast, so they're going to damage you for sure. Oh, you know what? I also want to point out something as well. The location of that Chaos cult device and the location of the Scourge, the Volcano Scourge, they're both like 1 hex from the water. If you had sailed up the coastline, you would have found both.
I didn't even think about that. You're right.
So, you didn't need to find them by walking through the plains. You could have actually sailed up the coast and would have found both and could have worked from that. Now, okay, he's dropping a tinder pouch. You've now committed yourself to taking on both this Chaos Camp and that Scourge right now.
But this is exactly... This
Go
is
ahead.
the point of, you don't have to fight this right now. You've got plenty of time to fight this later.
There's no reason to fight this. There's virtually no chaos on his timeline to begin with.
Yeah.
You have another 14 rounds before this camp needs to be tackled. Rather than spending the time now attacking this camp, you should be trying to trigger more. Get out of the Golden Plains and get on the water.
He should attack the other soldier. Because he's not going to kill him with the ukulele. Yep.
Yeah.
Should have killed the others. That's the thing is make sure you get the kills before they can attack. Reduce damage. Luckily
I'm less worried about, combat decision making. You get better over time with combat decision making, but understanding pathing, understanding how you should be using your movement, that's probably more important.
I 100% agree with you on that. Like, I would not dispute that. It's just also trying to just give more pointers while we're doing this. So yes, I would say get your pathing right, because that's what's holding people back, and people don't recognize it. It's just understand that. Just as like a side note, for myself, when I was working with you guys to begin with, and You know, I wasn't big in like reading the guides because I kind of like grinding myself and trying to figure out how to beat the game on my own. But the one thing I did do, go ahead.
I don't even think he had a chaos on his timeline when he attacked that camp.
He didn't.
He had gotten rid of the chaos with the cult device just prior to it.
Yeah.
So that was a completely wasted, potentially wasted combat for removing chaos.
Yeah. So
now he's attacking a level 4, or with his guys are level 3 with one guy that has an improved weapon for this act. So slightly more dangerous, although I mean I know he's got a tinder pouch parked right outside, so he's probably banking on using that, but
he'll be okay.
It just commits you to using your rounds healing at the tinder pouch, as opposed to using these rounds to search and cover things and trigger more chaos side quests and finding, you know, hidden dungeons.
Yeah.
I would do no combats at all in the 15 rounds if I could. I would just do 100% pure searching. Find everything first, then start doing your combats.
Yep. So, like, going back to my original point is talking about understanding the refreshes. When I got to, like, beating this game on Masters and then playing the other modes, the only thing I read about is how the town refreshes occurred, because the town refreshes are what actually dictate how you do your pathing, and actually in all of the modes. It wildly changes depending on what mode you're playing. But once I read about how the Frost ones did, it made it easy because I knew I had a general idea of how I should path it based on how those refreshes occurred and what to deal with chaos, and there is no chaos on Frost. So understanding that part of it helps with your pathing, and once you help with your pathing, it actually makes the game way easier. It's just that's why you're right, Mike. It's the most important part to learn when you're actually playing this game.
Yeah, you know, I had no problem with him dropping a tinder pouch to do those 2 fights. I just would have done it so much later. I would have done it after the town refresh, after I had spent my time searching.
Yeah,
so, I mean, the combat was fine with those 2 things. Just that when you chose to do those combats it was way too early.
That's exactly right. So the approach to how to go about fighting those wasn't wrong. The problem was the timing of when he decided to do it.
Right, and now he's got the money for a boat, but he's more worried about the night market, I guess. I don't know. There's nothing in this night market that's worth getting. Not even that noisemaker is really worth it.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, so take a pause. And I'll tell you why. It's you still haven't had the town refresh occur, and when that town refresh occurs, ideally you're going to have tier 3 weapons, and you're going to want everybody to get a tier 3 weapon.
Oh, okay.
You also want to use your money for God's beards while they're cheap.
Okay.
So it's like, and noisemaker is not a trinket that I consider an end game trinket where one of my guys is going to have that equipped in the tower. So there's nothing in this market that I consider an end game trinket that I must get right now. And that's 90 gold right there. That's 90 gold at this stage of the game. That's almost like 6 Godsbeard.
So this is where I disagree a little. I really do like Noisemaker. I really do like Distraction. I think it's one of the stronger skills in the game. But this goes back to overall gameplay so far. So like the thing is I would buy this, but because my pathing would be much better, that I'd have a lot more gold, and I wouldn't be concerned that I couldn't buy the weapons I needed. So, but now talking about the context of what you're seeing right now is that what you're saying is at this point, now the town refreshes are going to occur, so therefore you should be ready to buy the weapons. I like that you put that caveat to it, but I'll use Distraction for almost most of the game, and depending on sometimes how bad some of the skills I may get throughout the game, I will have this at the end game. Now, maybe because I focused a lot more on some other weapons or something like that I was purchasing, and just left myself to where I wasn't able to get some skills that I wanted. But anyways, that I would have, I'm not so down on buying this.
Noisemaker is a good trinket, don't get me wrong. I just don't feel like it's a priority right now.
Okay, that's a fair point. I would say that's, but again, it sounds so bad.
You know, think about it. You need 90 gold for a boat.
Yeah.
If you spend 90 right now, you're gonna have 104 left, and then when you buy a boat, you're gonna have like 14 gold.
Yeah.
You're gonna have no gold to spend to buy any weapons.
Yeah. Yes, I get that. Is okay. He was kind of paused there for a second. I was actually playing that the whole time. So, okay. I see what you're saying, and you are correct in what you're saying.
Although, you know, he still has a lot of junk he could sell to make the money back.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of stuff he could be selling to get some gold.
It's so funny at this point. It's so like second nature to me. Like I just would have bought it.
You would have bought it.
Yeah,
you would have bought it by now and moved on.
I would have moved on. Yeah, it would have been already done.
Okay, so he bought it. He's committed to it. That's fine.
Don't worry. What's he doing? I would have bought it. So I agree with you.
Look at his situation now. What does he have to attack that was within his party's level to deal with?
Okay, so
and the town just refreshed.
Town refresh. There.
All right, so the 15 rounds is over. Now you have starfish staff. Look at that.
And you can't buy it.
And you can't. Well, you're 1 gold short. You could probably sell some garbage to get it, but this is what I mean by you want to save your gold for the tier 3 weapons when they come available to you. Iron bow would have been a much better improvement for player 2.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yes, in hindsight, you are correct in terms of not buying distraction there. Again, I would have been a lot more confident in that I would have collected a lot more gold, and probably would have even hit a sea cave at some point to where I would have gotten a lot of gold too, so I wouldn't have been that worried about it. But I get what you're saying. But just as we've been talking about, the town refreshes occur, and what exactly happened? Only 1 chaos camp was hit. Now, of course, the Boots of Might, so we'll assume it would have been 2 chaos camps, and it was 1 catacombs.
Yeah.
Spent
2 towns out of 5.
Spent way too much time in the Golden Plains. And what's even crazier too is, because you were talking about distraction and all that I didn't point this out. If you notice, the Burning Forest, Fire Elm, and I think it's called, is it Dryard's Lantern is the name of the other town. They're actually not that far apart from each other. So he could have actually, at the very, very beginning, gone up to Fire Elm, unlock that, use his second Dancing Nettle, and gone straight to Dryard's Lantern, had all that stuff unlocked, and maybe have gotten lucky and found the catacombs. So that could have happened without even getting the boat.
Yeah.
Which
even has 2 vision scrolls, so he could have used the vision scrolls prior to that 15 round town refresh to at least try to find those mini dungeons.
Yes, there's just too much fighting going on in the Golden Plains. And I want to be nice here. I did all of these same things when I first started playing. And it took me a while. It actually took Sheldon and Mike to break me from this a little bit, is that I now, no joke, I almost never fight in any of these biomes. Anything. I am able to get enough gold and reduced chaos and everything I need by literally just doing chaos camps, sea caves, and either in the catacombs and mini dungeons. I literally almost do 0 fights unless I'm like absolutely forced to, or it'll like disrupt my pathing. I never take on a fight. They're like, there's no way I'm thinking of doing this bone bard camp.
Well, I'll tell you why he's doing this bone bard camp, because I just saw what he was doing there. He was looking around at everything that's still available for him to attack. a level 5 Mine Lord, a level 5 Lich's Crypt. There's nothing left that's within his range of level because he didn't trigger level 4 side quests. He didn't find the level 3 mini dungeons. So he's attacking the only thing he has available to him now to try to continue to gain experience.
Okay, so then let's now go past all of this stuff that we just taught and talked about. Let's talk about now the focus moving forward. There are no more town refreshes until you finish, the rest of these quests to get into the Parched Ways, right?
Yeah, the next town refresh won't occur until you actually complete the King's Maze. So now you have huge amounts of time.
Yes.
You could spend 30 rounds if you wanted, just messing around.
So
as long as the chaos doesn't force you to progress.
That's exactly right. So now now I'm going to say something that's going to be so counter to what I just said. Now you almost have to do, first off, you keep the silver medal. You don't do the rusty medallion. That this isn't even a choice. You just collect it and sell it later.
Right.
Thank you. So ultimately what you're doing now, interestingly enough, is now I am fighting stuff. Now I probably wouldn't fight stuff in the Golden Plains. I'd go to the Rogue Isles and fight some of the better gold giving like boats and stuff like that. But what I would do is start collecting stuff to where I can upgrade all my weapons. So then I can do the fights of the other camps and the other catacombs and such. So I can at least do those things.
So the situation he has now, he's going to have to grind to get his levels now. Because everything is going to be level 5 or higher, except for the very first sea cave is level 4. But after that, everything's going to be level 5. So he's going to have to start grinding to try and recover from his situation. The grinding is where you have the potential of losing out on your Godspear. You're going to potentially have to heal once in a while when you don't want to. So this is where people start to lose some of the resources because they're having to do the grinding that they're forced into from this.
Yes. So the grinding is ultimately also grinding's not a good thing when you're playing a Masters, because you don't have as much time to grind. You have to be way more efficient. So
yeah, he has no chaos on his timeline, so he's got loads of time to grind.
Exactly. So now it's all about chaos. So that's the only thing that's you're paying attention to at this point, is to try and upgrade stuff as much as possible for everything else that you're trying to do.
It's interesting here. He's got the Starfish Staff, which is his focus restore. The ukulele, in the long run, really wasn't necessary and wasn't worth it.
Exactly, and that's why I would have just not bought that. Starfish Staff is the best Act 2 weapon. Which, if you watch
for a scholar, absolutely. Yep.
If you watch the videos we put together, we would have told you that.
Yep, Starfish Staff is the best you can get going into the King's Maze for the Scholar at this stage of the game. And now, ideally, player 2 wants to get an upgraded weapon. The Iron Bow was at least something that he could have gone for, but he needs the money for it. And where are you going to get your money now? You don't even have money for a boat now. So you're gonna have to walk into the burning forest.
Yep. That's exactly what I would be doing next.
Unless you grind or sell a lot of your junk to get the money for a boat.
Yeah. What's so interesting, too, though, is I hate the Iron Bow. That I would go and try and find something better.
Well, that's why you wanted to go to Devil's Wharf. You wanted to go to Fire Elm and Dryad's Lantern. You want to see all those towns' markets. Having visited them before the town refresh, you're then able to instantly look in every single town and check every market to find out where you need to go to find the weapon you need.
Yeah.
You haven't even gone into those towns, so you don't even know what those markets offer.
No. There's no chaos.
Oh my God.
There's
no chaos on your timeline. There's no reason to do this now.
Nope. You don't do this.
You know what? The way the game designers designed the game, the King's Maze is in the Golden Plains. You start at the Golden Plains, triggering all the side quests from Perid, and then you have to travel away from the Golden Plains. You have to go to Devil's Wharf, find whatever it is out there on the Rogue Islands that you have to do. In this case, he has to do the Lich's Crypt. You have to go to either the bog or the Burning Forest to do whatever it places in there. And then you end up having to come back to the Golden Plains anyway to do the King's Maze. So there's a circle that you have to do. And when I looked at the town markets and what they sell things for, the way they set up the markets, the most expensive markets are the Golden Plains markets. Slightly cheaper than that are the markets in the bog and the Burning Forest. And even cheaper than that, literally on par with the starting biome, Orton and Woodsmoke, Devil's Wharf has the same prices as Orton and Woodsmoke. So what that told me is that the way the game designers really wanted you to do this is they want you to go to the easiest zone first. Oh, you know what? He finally got to Fire Elm. And Battle Axe is probably the best weapon you could get for a strength character.
So, okay, here's what I would do. Grab the gold from everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, you might as well unlock that.
And sell a little bit of junk and you can get that Battle Axe right now.
Get that Battle Axe, and then what I do with player 3, put a rush weapon on. And then don't even bother with player 3's weapon. And then what you do is then start making up the time and start like unlocking this other stuff. And you know, because you also do have I would actually start going to sea caves. So I would because you're not even worried about unlocking stuff right now. So I would rather just get a bunch of gold and level up and get sea caves and start stockpiling God's beards.
Unlocking the chaos camps now doesn't help you.
Yeah, it doesn't. Level 6. I mean, you should do it if you're there. So I'm not like opposed to it. So I would just like double focus and not waste time. But
literally the Mine Lord is level 5 compared to a chaos camp, which is level 6. Those are actually easier to do to remove chaos than the side quests are at this point.
Exactly. But yeah, the weapon, I just get the weapon on the Busker. There's a Battle Axe in there too. Yeah, I 100% I'm getting the Battle Axe, and then I'm good to go. Because like I said, I just rush the magic guy, the scholar. I call him magic guy. Rush your scholar, or rush your Busker, depending on what it is you're facing.
And he could switch to the decent loot right now and be perfectly good. He would have the best intelligence weapon and the best strength weapon for Act 2, and he could rush either one.
And you're done.
Yep.
You have your weaponry. Now, I'm going to say something. Hopefully this doesn't make you cringe too much. So settle down here. So hear me out on this. So since Journeyman, you have more time, and you can go through and do some of these save caves and get a bunch of gold. I actually would potentially buy some armor upgrades that are severely lacking at this point. So then you're better prepared for those camps. The chaos.
You want to know why they're lacking is he hasn't done the mini dungeons and gotten the free treasure chests at the end of every mini dungeon. So, you know, those mini dungeons and those free treasure chests that you find inside them give you a lot of armor.
That's true. That's true, but I'm trying to flex depending on the situation that we're
you're just working with what he has now. It's
exactly.
Like, I would at least get swamp boots, something that gives you speed.
Yeah, that's true. That's usually a good purchase. But like if there's something like I can't remember, I don't know what equipment he has on his characters right now. So it looks like potentially player 3, so his Trapper is lacking quite a bit with only 4 and 4. So I'm assuming he probably needs some type of talent gear or something like that to help out a little bit. So I don't my thinking is
it's funny, everything just snowballs and becomes more difficult.
Well,
you know,
but pathing, right? Like, we're gonna say it 1,000 times. That's what's the most important part coming out of the Glittering Mines is pathing.
Okay, he got the Battle Axe, perfect. But look how much money he has left now. He's got just over, less than 40 gold total. And you might need that for using an inn here and there. So having enough money to even buy armor, you're gonna have to grind.
And then now you have the 18 damage on the Trapper. See, but this is the hard thing I had to learn about why I thought talent heroes suck so much, is because I didn't know the value in terms of rushing. now, like, nothing can surpass the 36 damage Busker right now. You're pretty much rushing him all the time because he's doing literally double the damage. You can miss one rush and hit another rush. So if your rush is at above 50%, overall, you're going to gain value on it because of the time. I wouldn't fight the time cave now, but it's nice to have that to get that. That artifact is great.
It's 2 hexes from the coast. Had he gotten the boat early on, he would have found it at level 4 instead of level 6.
Poor guy. I feel like we're just beating him up about pathing right now, but it is literally the most important thing to talk about.
God, a level 6 Time Lord's terrible, man.
Thank you so much for actually submitting this VOD. I mean, we're really trying to just help out. We're not just trying to pile on, but it's a good learning experience for everybody.
It just, if anything, it just shows you how critical to use that pathing during that 15 rounds, and how the failure of one round here or a team round there can have a snowball effect on how your game plays itself out.
Exactly right. And that's what's... And then, this is where, when people play roguelikes, that are rogue-type turn-based games, they don't understand what they're struggling with. And so they're fighting through these guys. They're getting upgraded weapons. They're doing things that they hear that they're doing. But there are so many different nuances that help elevate your gameplay to another level, which is exactly what we're trying to show people about.
Yes.
Like, I'm sure you've watched plenty of streams of people doing For the King. I, time and time again, me personally, watch so many people spend so much time in the Golden Plains. Watch a Sheldon stream. Now, just so you guys are aware, I'm going to be streaming For the King once in a couple weeks for an entire week. And watch how long I'm in Golden Plains. Like, we're not there that long. We're there quickly. We unlock some stuff. Boom, we're out to sea. Like, so fast. There are times, depending on how things are set up, I will actually buy a boat right out of Glittering Mines and have 2 of my characters out to sea and never even touch Golden Plains. So, because my intent is to never even fight in the Golden Plains. But you can watch streamer after streamer and player after player sit in the Golden Plains like he has this entire time. I mean, we're literally 43 minutes into this VOD. He stepped into the burning forest for like 3 seconds.
He's literally walking himself back down into the Golden Plains. I literally have no idea what he's doing right now. It's like, why is he dropping himself back down into the Golden Plains? I would have just gone to one of the ports and gotten on the water from the burning forest, because it's right next to the islands right there.
Yeah. So the islands are to the left. I guess I did. That's what I was trying to see. So yes, the islands are to the left. Oh, that's the crazy part is too. If he would have gotten the boat out of the catacombs to the left,
yeah,
you know what's
funny?
Right up the coast.
The boat is triple value as far as movement is concerned, because the entire party moves when one character is moving the boat.
That's true too.
When you're walking on land, you're doing a hopscotch. You know, one guy moves and the other guy moves ahead of him, and the guy behind him moves ahead of him. You're doing this hopscotch process. You're not gaining the bonus movement that the boat provides you by moving the entire party.
I like the hopscotch analogy.
Yeah, it's like hopscotch. So it's all these wasted rounds as far as I'm concerned by walking on land.
Sure. So I think what he's actually doing here is going down to purchase the boat.
Which yeah.
But again, so
he's finally getting there.
But here's the other part of this. I would have teleported down there. I wouldn't have walked all the way down there.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Pick up party.
Or I would have done it it's like, pick up the party. Pick up the party.
Pick up the party.
Why didn't you pick up the party?
Don't know.
Because one guy wasn't in range, so what?
Yeah, pick them up so then you don't have to worry about it.
Then player 2 could have sailed up and gotten the guy who was out of range into range.
Exactly. So a wasted movement of the boat.
That's an entire team round is wasted now. Because you didn't pick up the party there and have player 2 move the boat up and gotten player 3 within range.
Exactly.
Or player 1 within range in this case. Player 1 was the one that was out of range.
That's totally right.
So, movement, make sure to use focus for movement. Don't ever end your round 1 hex away from your destination if you've got focus. Like he did earlier when he should have gotten into Caselli's watch and healed. He stopped 1 hex before he got to Caselli's watch.
Yep.
He should have used the 1 focus and stepped in there and used the end and healed. Don't accept not making it to your destination. Find a way. Use a dancing nettle if you need to. Use focus if you need to get to the destination and not waste the entire round.
Yeah. And again, this goes back to is when you're dealing with chaos every 4 rounds instead of 6, like you think that doesn't seem like a big differential, but across, you can look at just from the standpoint of 12 rounds, that's two chaoses versus 3 chaoses. And you have to have that mindset in order to play on Masters. Like, you just have to pretty much maximize all of your movement. It's because you just can't deal with the chaos stacking up on you. And so all these different, opportunities, that's why I say if you're going to go to the boat and you're across the entire biome, just teleport to it. Like, why walk for 3 rounds down there? Teleport it, pick up the boat, get your guys as close to the coast as possible. So as you're moving up the coast, you could start scooping them up one by one. And then what you're talking about is stacking the movement inside the boat by having another person in the boat. And you end up probably saving 3 rounds there, at least.
One of the things that you and I are providing here is wisdom that we've had from the experience of playing the game a lot. A lot of people that are new to the game, they don't know what the value is of the things they have. Using dancing nettles, for example, it took me probably a year before I started to realize the value of herbs that I had on me that I never used. It's like I would end the game with those same 2 dancing nettle that player 3 has at the end of the game. It's like, why didn't I use them? What value do they have? Using your teleport scrolls, people like, well, gee, it's so valuable, I don't want to use it. Well, then when do you use it, right? You've got to learn when those tools that you have available should be used. And the pathing of getting out of the Golden Plains and onto the water right away, I didn't know that at the beginning when I first started playing. It probably took me a year before I realized the value of getting out of the Golden Plains as soon as possible and getting to the islands as quickly as I could. You know what's interesting is that the more hidden items that you uncover while searching, the more experience your team actually gains, because you gain a little bit of experience for everything that you find. So from coming out of the Glittering Mines at level 2 or level 3, by the time I get through the catacombs from the Golden Plains and get on a boat and search the islands, my team is level 4, almost level 5, without having done hardly any combats. The only combats I would have done was the catacombs. All of my experience gain was just from uncovering things that were hidden.
And that's it's kind of interesting too, talk about like learning experiences. So just so you guys are aware, I haven't paused the video. It's for some reason there is a pause in his gameplay, which is totally fine. We'll just kind of keep talking through this to let it go. Before I go to my next point, there's about 6 minutes left in this video. I think we can make it all the way through if you've got the time, Mike.
I do.
Okay, so we've got about 17 minutes before we have to do a hard stop, and I'll have to do a hard stop at that point too. But talking about just like learning the game, and me personally, so I had beat the game. I started off on Apprentice and then went up to Journeyman and beat the game on Journeyman. I had the most ridiculous first victory on Journeyman with somehow winning with a hunter evading 15,000 attacks on Vexer, which was the most ridiculous win. I shouldn't have won that game, but I did anyways.
So you're the only one alive by the time you got there?
Yes, like I actually have that as a video on YouTube because it was so ridiculously stupid that I actually pulled it off. Because it was just a dumb victory, but I was like, I'll take it. But no joke, I never used a teleport scroll or a portal scroll all the way through winning the game in Journeyman. I never used them. I was like, what value do these give you? I didn't even understand that. And on top of it too, I would upgrade weapons, but I was always the person that was also upgrading all my armor all the time. And I was always buying God's Beards right from the start and not upgrading weapons. It got me through Journeyman. But when I went to Masters, you guys saw I was getting crushed at the beginning of Masters, and I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out why I was playing so poorly at that level. And it was because you can get away, because you can tell with how bad his pathing has been. He still only has one chaos at the end here. There's no way you could pull that off in Masters. Like, what he's done, I would venture to say that there's no way you can win the game. And that is the differential between the two. Because I still think that this game is definitely winnable.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
this game's definitely winnable. You can recover
he hasn't,
from where he is.
And this is all about perspective, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to help people learn and get better. The whole point. He hasn't died yet. So he has 3 lives. He's got 2 sanctums on, which is also the kind of the interesting part. He's ran around this much and he still only has 2 sanctums. He should easily have the 3rd by now. But besides the point, and he's gotten a boat. He can still reduce these chaoses. He can still do all this other stuff. He's got good upgraded weapons. He could probably stockpile some more God's Beards. So this is still a completely winnable game. It's just that if you cleaned up all this stuff, he would absolutely annihilate Journeyman. Like, it wouldn't even be close if he just cleaned up some of this stuff.
Right. In fact, you know, you were talking about the scrolls earlier. Player 1 still has a portal scroll. We didn't start this video from him exiting Glittering Mines, but my guess is he probably didn't use the portal scroll upon exiting Glittering Mines, which is when I usually use it. It's like, I am not going to have my team slowly hopscotch their way over land to get to Perit. I am going to portal into the Golden Plains as close to Perit as possible, and so I could trigger that right away and start my search of the Golden Plains immediately.
Yeah. So I'm totally for attacking this first sea cave at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
it's level 4 for one thing. It's one of the few things that's still actually within his level of being able to handle.
Yeah. Now, I do say I wouldn't have ukulele on, and I would not attack the Merling Fighter. Oh, he was trying. If you're going to try and get the Merling Fighter to where he's wet, you want to just make sure you hit him with the ukulele then.
Well, how player 1 could one-shot him, so it wasn't even necessary. Player 3 should be using decent loot and rushing, but that's something that if you haven't learned any of that yet, you wouldn't even be aware of the power of rush.
I do like that he did restore focus there, knowing that he can kill this right here. That was a smart move.
That was a smart move.
Oh, that's right. He doesn't even have that many golden roots. I didn't even recognize that.
Well, again, yeah, like I said, the priorities at the beginning is, you know, you got to trigger those side quests, save money for a boat, and then, you know, try to get as many God's Beards as you can while the prices are cheap. He never got to Fire Elm or Giant's Lantern or Devil's Wharf, so he never got to those towns to buy their God's Beard. Okay, so identify scroll, that's a mimic. You should you know, if you're gonna use if you're gonna use an identify scroll, then
don't
open. Do not open it. If it's a mimic, why identify it in the first place?
No.
Oh, and he did open it. Oh god. That was a waste. That was a waste of an identify scroll right there, and it looks like it ate a save scum time. It ate a tinder pouch. He should not have opened it to begin with. So, yeah, that's a okay. That's a
okay.
Save scum time.
First off, why? Okay, good learning. Why use an identify scroll if you're going to open it anyways? Okay,
Yep.
so that is pretty much that. Okay, so hold on here. Let's go back.
Brush your teeth
Oh, now
in
we
less
get to
than
watch
10
an ad,
seconds
so
with
that's a
this
great way to end
revolutionary
it.
toothbrush. It was created by a
As the button.
Okay,
Oh,
this
don't
is
even get me
not
started.
what's
Exactly.
happening here.
Neck in
Okay, so let's go back to this. I'm in incognito mode, so it's going to put whatever they feel is important in front of here. Okay. So let's go to just real quick here at this endpoint, and then we'll kind of end this here. So what's kind of interesting too is there is a point that you made earlier about putting your tinder pouches and stuff on your guy that has all on one spot. If you notice, he lost his tinder pouch. He could have lost his second tinder pouch and potentially, well, something else here. So that's why you talk about Sheldon stacking it, right?
Actually, no. Steel immunity actually provides you immunity to even being affected by the eating of a mimic.
Yes. So you would have put all the tinder pouches on the one that has the gold sanctum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even if he didn't have the gold sanctum, he's your most evasive character. He's got a chance to dodge better than any. In fact, I think he did dodge in that chomp. So yeah.
Okay. So I think we've pretty much said most of the points. So pretty much the video that's it for this VOD review. So your big takeaways on this, and I know we've probably hit most of these points, but just kind of recap it, pretty much what your thoughts are about just like overall play and what you would kind of work to improve on.
You know what? Everything was perfectly good as far as I'm concerned, up until the point that he came out of the catacombs. Because I'm perfectly fine with him not having gone up to Fire Elm when he had the chance. He still could have gone up there later, or but when he got out of that catacombs, he ran into the interior when he had the 90 gold he needed to drop the boat right away. That's where things went south for me. And there were a couple of movement errors here and there, not using focus when he could have, not having the sealed letter that he needed for his Boots of Might on the right character, so he wasted around having to backtrack to get the Boots of Might. So a couple of extra rounds wasted here and there, but in the long run, you want to get into that catacombs, pull the team together, come out of that catacombs, and then get onto the water right away and sail to the islands. That's where things went south, as far as I'm concerned.
I think that's a great point. Of course, we could talk about semantics, about going up to the Fire Elm and potentially get into Dryard's Lantern. Like, yeah, I could totally see not needing to do that. I ultimately, like, the big thing is get into Golden Plains, get out of Golden Plains.
Well,
quickly.
I would have agreed with you that he had the 2 Dancing Nettle and he could have gotten to Fire Elm and potentially Dryard's Lantern with that character, and then dropped down from there into the Golden Plains and gotten pulled in from the catacombs. And that would have been an ideal situation. But that's kind of looking at it in hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
At the time that he was doing it, he's like, probably had the mindset, I need to get the Boots of Might, and this is the guy with the letter, and I need to get the Scholar Stick in the hands of my Scholar. So he's like, I need to move down and pass all those things together. That's probably the mindset he was in at the time. Yeah. Which is why he didn't go to Fire Elm when he had the chance. It's like, okay, fine. If you're going to do that, then you need to make sure that you're efficient with your movement and you get on that boat and you get up there as fast as you can before that 15 rounds is over.
Exactly. So, and what you can do, just make sure unlock camps, don't need to fight them right away. Find catacombs and caves, try to attack those before the refresh. Gain as much gold as you possibly can, so you can buy some God's Beards, maybe a weapon, and then what you can do with the town refresh and you have a bunch of gold, you can then buy really good weapons, be prepared to hit maybe a sea cave or 2, then go attack those chaos camps, really reduce your chaos, give yourself as much time as humanly possible, and then once you have all that stuff unlocked and done and cleared off, you're going to easily fight the Mine Lord. You're going to easily fight the Forgotten Cellar. You're going to easily fight the Lich's Crypt. And then you're going to be really well set up for going into Act 3, or I should say really well set up going into King's Maze at that point. And because like you're able to cut through all that easily, getting the 2 reduced chaos coming out of King's Maze, you should be good to go. I mean, he technically has the right weapons even to fight King's Maze at this point.
Yeah, Starfish Staff, Battle Axe, and a rush weapon and decent loot. He's set. He could do the King's Maze with that.
Exactly. So so I am going to give him, he's probably already played this game in full, but he doesn't even actually have to fight the chaos camps at this point. He could avoid them altogether.
Yeah.
And because he's going to reduce chaos from the other side quests, and he can try to get some sea caves under his belt so he can get a bunch of gold and maybe upgrade some armor and stuff like that, and get enough herbs. Like, again, now he should be stockpiling herbs as best as possible. But he could go into the King's Maze with this, which will reduce 2 chaos anyways, and then he's not too worried about the chaos camps. So he could avoid the chaos camps, because level 6 chaos camps are pretty nasty. So he's got to be careful with that at this point in the game.
Yes. I mean, if you're playing Master, you kind of need those chaos camps to keep your chaos under control. But on Journeyman here, he has the Cult Device in the islands and the Cult Device at the Burning Forest. He's got the Mine Lord and the Lich's Crypt, and he's got the 2 chaos removed from the King's Maze itself. He's got plenty of chaos removal just from the main quest line and the Cult Devices. He doesn't even need the side quests to keep his chaos under control in a Journeyman game.
Exactly right. All right, well, Mike, thank you so much for joining me today to do this. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know this is the first one you've done. So what did you think about doing the VOD review?
It was easier than I thought. I guess it's easier to criticize than it is to play.
Now you should submit one so I can just sit here and rip on your gameplay the entire time.
You can rip on my gameplay, yeah.
Well,
honestly though, he made good decisions early on.
Yeah.
I agreed with him getting the Godsbeard from the Pipesmith early on. I agreed with him getting the Scholar Stick early on. He was making good decisions there. It's just the pathing is the one thing that he probably needs to learn, which is don't stay in the Golden Plains. Get the hell out of the Golden Plains. That's the one key takeaway you should get from this.
That's exactly right. And he's got 3 lives. He's got good weapons. He should be good to go. Everything should be fine. But these are just things that you can improve upon to even play at a much faster pace and play much better. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you that are interested in actually having a game of yours reviewed as well too, feel free to join the Discord. If you don't want to join the Discord, that's totally fine. You could reach out to me and you can send me a message through Twitch if you want to. You can just do, I believe it's a whisper is what they call it on Twitch. If you want to send me something there to where you have a link or something like that, you don't have to be a Discord member to do it. Even though I say it's a Discord exclusive, I'd be more than happy to do that. And then if and when we do get more VOD submissions, Mike, if you're interested in joining me for future ones, I'd be happy to have you on again.
Thanks for having me, and I'd be happy to be back.
All right, great. All right, so appreciate you guys joining and watching the VOD. For those of you that are interested, I also post the VOD on Discord, so if anyone wants to watch it later on, they can. Thank you so much for your time, guys, and you all have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone.